Welcome back to Head Trip. My name is Chris. You know that it has been a minute since I have been on here. It has been busy. I've been running in all kinds of different directions, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but that is just where I'm at. I have been seeing movies, I've been doing family stuff, I've been doing music stuff. And for a lot of you that might not be aware, I play in a band. I play music. I play in a band called Fight Fair. And we actually have a tour coming up this October, this month, in a couple of weeks that we're leaving for. And so I've been busy with that. I've been practicing with that. And again, there's been live stuff. I don't know. I don't want to bore you, but I've been busy. I've been all over the place, been catching some shows. And I want to talk about that. We have an interesting but pretty short show today. We're going to talk about and review Alien Earth on FX, which has been fantastic if you haven't checked that out. We are going to talk about release dates for Man of Tomorrow and A Quiet Place Part 3. We're going to talk about James Mangold and what he's got going on. He's inked a deal with, you'll find out soon. And we'll talk about how that changes everything. And the Russos, they're teasing. Like always, they're teasing something. They've offered up a pic of a set photo, and we're going to take a little look of that. But other than that, before we get into it, what I've been watching a little bit, like I said, I watched and finished Alien Earth, and we're going to get into and we're going to review that. I've also started, Black Rabbit on Netflix. That has been really good. I think I'm on episode 3, I want to say. But if you're not watching that, I highly suggest that you check that out. That's Black Rabbit on Netflix, starring Jason Bateman, as well as Jude Law. It is really, 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 really good. If you love those shows that he tends to be in, that he plays really well in, even from like Horrible Bosses, but like your Ozark and whatnot, it's a show for you. What else have I been watching? Harry Potter. So over the last few weeks, I decided, with all the talk of the new Harry Potter series coming out on HBO, I wanted to run the movies back, but I've seen them all and I didn't want to do it myself. So I coaxed my daughter Lucy into watching him with me, and man, is she addicted. We are on Goblet of Fire, which I believe is the 4th movie. I think the 4th movie, Goblet of Fire. And she is just, I think it's the 4th movie. I could be wrong, but she is just, I think I've created a monster, because having not been interested in these movies whatsoever, and then coaxing her into watching these, now she's addicted. Now every day, like, can we continue where we're at? Can we continue where we're at? Oh, Alia hasn't watched them. I can't wait to rewatch them with her. And she wants to read the books now. And I haven't broken it to her that there's a series coming out. So she might be ecstatic, or she might be like, oh, this is becoming a bit much. But I am ecstatic for it nonetheless. So we're watching the Harry Potter, and hopefully that's, that I feel like those movies hold a pretty good place in a lot of people's hearts, and mine too. I'm not like a crazy Potterhead, but I love those movies. I love that world. I love spending time in that world. And that's what's gotten me, pretty excited to jump into the series when it comes out. But yeah, a few things we've been watching. I'm sure I've caught a couple things in theaters. I can't even think about like what I've gone and seen over the last few months. We did go see Weapons. I don't think I talked about that just yet, but we did go see Weapons. And it's fantastic. So good. And I can't say enough good things about it. We don't have to dive into that here, but yeah, I think that is it for what I've been watching. I'm sure there's a few stuff, and it's always hard for me to rack my brain and think about like all the things that I have been watching. Obviously, we've been watching Peacemaker. Peacemaker has been so good. Can we like really talk about how good Peacemaker season 2 has been? It has been such, I don't want to say an upgrade, because season 1 was fantastic, but I absolutely love where season 2 is going. And I really like that we're finally getting to what we've all assumed where this alternate universe is, which is Planet X. And we're starting to see the NAZI memorabilia and whatnot. And I love that shot of, spoiler warning, that shot of Adebayo at the end of the episode. You know what I'm talking about. But this season has been so good. There's still a lot of loose threads kind of hanging around that I know we're for sure going to get to. We've had Judo Master. He's in this alternate universe, and, being a character that doesn't seem to want to take any kind of shit from anybody, like we saw from Red Saint Wild, Michael Rooker's character. I can only imagine in this Planet X, he's not having He's not gonna have that. So, but I'm interested to see like where he's at. I love this whole eagly being like the eagle. I forget what he called it, but I loved that too. And man, there's so much. Freddie Stroma, this vigilante character he's playing, is so good. I really am looking forward to kind of how that develops. And like, I like the idea that going into our first different reality, this first other dimension, the fact that, the first one we're getting in the multiverse is like a just a Nazi universe, and I think that's kind of good because with all this talk of the multiverse, I think that is kind of a way of saying like make us regret going to the multiverse so that we won't want to go again. And maybe that's James Gunn's way of kind of like just nipping this whole multiverse thing in the bud right away. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But what else? What else? I didn't write any notes because I didn't plan on talking about Peacemaker too much on this episode. I want to do a end of season review, and that's probably what I will do. But yeah, if you're not watching it, check it out. I'll have more notes and more stuff. Maybe on the next episode, I'll talk about leading into the season finale. But I want to get into some news and some stuff that have been going on today. Some a little bit of tidbits that have been released, I figure are worthwhile talking about. And the first thing I want to get into before we get into that, let us do this review that I want to talk about, and that is Alien Earth. Now I finished Alien Earth the same day that the finale premiered, and my God, what a show! Like I was saying, this show has been fantastic. I think what Noah Hawley has done with this, is just nothing short of extraordinary. This has done such a good job of reinvigorating what the Alien franchise can be. For me, like obviously we love, all of us who are fans of film, and more so fans of sci-fi, Alien and Aliens, like those are some untouchable movies. Those are fantastic. I love Prometheus and I loved Covenant, and I will die by those movies. I think they're so good. Prometheus especially. But I think this has been such a great kind of like leeway into the lore and that style of storytelling. But Alien Earth has been just so fantastic. I love the idea of humanity on Earth's first introduction to these creatures, and creatures of which we've seen over so much time spent in all these other movies. And the characters here, the actors, I mean, my God, I mean, Sydney Chandler, her Wendy. Oh, dude, she is putting up a tour de force in terms of acting. She has been so phenomenal in this movie, and that's not to say everybody else. We have Alex Lothar, who plays her brother Joe Hermit. A lot of people might know him from Into the Fucking World, and what else was it that he Andor and some other stuff. Boy Cavalier, played by Samuel Blinken. I'm not as familiar with Samuel Blinken. Apparently he's in Misper Mole. Oh, he's in Mickey 17. That completely flew off my radar. Black Mirror. He was also in, along with Alex Lothar was also in Black Mirror. I didn't fail to mention that, but I didn't realize that they were both in that. I'm not sure which episode he is in. But all the characters playing the kids. You're Irana James playing Curly. You have Adarsh Gorov playing Slightly. We've got Jonathan Ajay playing Smee. I mean, so many of these great actors. But the main premise of the story is, if you haven't seen the movie, and spoiler warning, obviously, but much to what we've seen in a lot of the other movies, all these specimens being captured and whatnot, we see a lot of what happens in the form of flashbacks. But finally, after all these years, these specimens make it back to Earth, and these specimens are sort of swooped in and taken from the Weyland-Yutani Corp to this to Boy Cavalier's company, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head, which is really unfortunate to be talking about this without the name of that, but I cannot think of the name of his company. I'm not sure it entirely matters for this review, but it's really good. The cinematography in this series, what they've done is really, really good. The eeriness of the music they use really well. These kids being what do you want? What should we call it? These kids being synthetics. and not utilizing that too much. There's so many situations in this series where they could have gone above and beyond for with their abilities and all that, but they don't. They don't really go that crazy, and I kind of appreciate that because it lends to a more substantial storytelling. Um, what else? Timothy Olyphant. Oh, dude, Timothy Olyphant is playing a character in this unlike which we've really ever seen from Timothy Olyphant. He's playing not a synthetic. He's playing an actual like android, which is pretty cool. Which is a nice change of pace because we don't have a lot of those in this series. I think it's actually just him, if I remember correctly. Um, and one of the predominant themes around this is between him and one of the children and trying to basically um, get in, utilize an inside man and transfer some of these synthetics back to the Wayland Yutani Corporation. But that's a big storyline within the series, which is probably the primary storyline outside of Wendy and her brother, whom he thought was dead, and their relationship and him trying to save her. Big caveat if you haven't watched it: all these children that have been made into synthetics, they're all children that are dying of some kind of disease, and apparently they have trouble bringing in the mindset of an adult into these synthetics, and so that's the reason in which they go that route. But if you're a fan, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, which I'm assuming if you're watching this, you probably are, and you're up for something new, I really, really, really suggest checking this out. I mean, the performances are fantastic. Some of these adult performers portraying children are really good. I mean, they're putting up very, very, very great acting performances. There's some actors I'm a bit unfamiliar with. I can't think of his name. Arthur, the guy who plays Arthur. Uh, he is fantastic in this as well. There's also like the woman doctor that kind of looks over psychiatrist for them. The look of the aliens, you have your standard xenomorph, which is really cool because for the first time, I believe ever, we're seeing somebody, a synthetic, communicate. We haven't heard what they're saying. There's no subtitles or anything like that, which is fine, I guess. It'd be interesting to kind of see how they talk and what they say and all that. We have an idea of it, via Wendy. Then you have like this eyeball. I think they just call it eyeball, something like that, which is like this eyeball spider creature that is able to kind of go into replace people's connect to their brain and control them from there. There's like these wasp or these bees kind of situation, which is really cool. So they really do a fun job of like implementing these strategic, like these couple of different villains, and you don't know where the action can come from any given villain. But yeah, a lot of really good cinematography. We see a lot of cool future Earth, and we see a lot of background of these corporations that run the world after they've decided governments just aren't doing it. So the biggest corporations in the world essentially take over, and that's the world we live in. And we see some shots of the spaceship. We spend a lot of time on the island in which Boy Cavalier, where he's based out of. It really bums me out that I can't think of what his what his company is called, what his corporation is called. But that doesn't matter. It's like Legacy or Prodigy. Prodigy. It's called Prodigy. But check it out if you haven't checked it out. That is Alien Earth, and yeah, it's super good. I highly recommend for anybody that's a fan of the franchise. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it's 8 episodes if I remember correctly, but super rad, super, super, super rad. And if you're looking for something new to watch, I highly suggest that. And then moving on from Alien, we have a couple we have some information, I should say. We have some information on some new competing release dates. And that is for Man of Tomorrow and A Quiet Place Part 3. Obviously coming off the coattails of Superman. and this current season of Peacemaker, which we've learned they will sort of coincide with each other in some capacity. Um, I don't think that you'll have to necessarily have seen all of them to get all of them, but they intertwine in a decent way where it makes it like not too overwhelming. Also, to understand some stuff happening in Peacemaker, you will have to have seen Superman, but not have seen Superman to see Peacemaker season 1, which I will say. But I'm assuming you'll have to have seen Superman and Peacemaker season 2 to fully understand what's going on in Peacemaker season 3. The fun thing about A Quiet Place Part 3, though, is that this is now going back in chronology to where we left off on A Quiet Place Part 2. Obviously, because prior to this, we've had A Quiet Place Day 1, starting Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, which did not so well at the box office. I wouldn't necessarily say it tanked, but I mean, we're talking about a $261 million gross worldwide opening on a budget of $67 million, though. So not insane numbers, but they definitely performed. They definitely made their money back, and I think that's really, I mean, all you can really say about these movies. But I'm really curious as to, how this ends up looking with both release dates being the same day. I mean, we know that Joseph Krasinski is coming back to direct the third one. I don't think we have any official casting outside of Millicent Simmons, who plays the deaf daughter in the first 2 films. Fantastic actress. But I don't know if we know much other than that. Which is okay. I don't necessarily mind waiting. I don't mind waiting to see who else is gonna be part of this cast. This isn't like one of those franchises where you have to kind of sit and you kind of speculate on what's gonna happen and is this character gonna show up? Is this I think at this point it's just like we have our main series of characters. And it's just kind of like, let's see where this story goes first. Obviously, John Krasinski is not going to come back, but I really like these Quiet Place movies. I think in terms of like the genre of like horror, I guess we'll call it. I mean, we can't deny we have had an insane, 2 years of absolute fantastic horror, and I think we are lucky enough to be in a position where these are just going to continue showing up. I mean, we've talked about Weapons. Obviously the what's the Patrick Wilson movies? The not Insidious. They're what's his name? What are those movies called? I should know off the top of my darn head. Conjuring movies, Conjuring Last Rites. There's obviously that. What else has come out? I mean, unfortunately, I can't think of too many horror him, for better or for worse. I mean, let's see what horror movies have come out in just this year. Horror films 2025. Stranger Chapter 2, which I haven't seen. The Long Walk, which I haven't seen either. Oh, I'm really dying to see that. Bring Her Back came out this year. Let's see what we've had. Opus, 28 Years Later. A lot of stuff on streaming. There's The Monkey, Woman in the Yard. I mean, it's been a crazy year for horror. Together, can't say enough great things about Together. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for this. I'm definitely excited for what this could mean, and there we go. Sorry, I take care of something real quick. I'm definitely excited for A Quiet Place Part 3. I think, like I said, this series has done a really good job of staying relevant, and staying fresh and staying new. It's something different. It's building its own world. With Man of Tomorrow, we have a ton of loose ends. I mean, we have a lot of time in between now and then. I mean, Supergirl will have come out before then. Lanterns will have come out before then. Obviously, we have, Peacemaker will come to a finish. Superman will have already been out. Is there anything else coming out that I can't think of? From DCU, upcoming DCU movies. I think that's it. Besides Clayface, they're working on Clayface, which I think is supposed to come out next year too, if I remember correctly. September 11th, 2026. Interesting year. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's still called that, but that releases June 26th, 2026. Obviously, we have the Batman Part 2, which is not related to any of this, but let me know what you think. Are you guys excited for Man of Tomorrow? Are you excited for A Quiet Place Part 3? It'll be interesting to see how all these loose ends work into it. How, the Justice Gang fits into this whole thing. And Lex Luthor, where we'll leave him and where he'll show back up. We know that he's going to be a big number 2 part of this movie. So it's going to be interesting. Still no news on Batman. I suspect that we'll get that news within the next year, which is kind of like a big, broad statement because, of course, we probably will. But yeah, I don't know. So let me know what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Are you psyched for Man of Tomorrow? Are you excited to see this DCU world continue to grow? Or are you excited to just kind of get your horror kick on and excited for A Quiet Place Part 3? Are you excited to see the return of Millicent Simmons and your Emily your Emily Blunts and your and all your other characters? Maybe some characters from day one will show back up. It stands to be seen. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts, and even if you're not excited, let me know what you think of those movies anyway, because they're bound to be great. Obviously we're big DCU people over here, big Marvel people, and we'll continue feeding all those details as they sort of come. So moving on from that, the Russos have shared an image of the set once again. What we believe is Doomsday. Maybe it's Secret Wars. I don't know. They posted it with a message, look hard, with whatever that means. Now I've inspected this image quite a bit. I can't really see anything that stands out to me. There's like a doorway in the center background or so. Maybe that is going to be something. I mean, I can't tell. To me, it looks like it's a banner. And to me, it looks like a doorway. I can't really show you, but you see back behind that that forklift or crane or whatever that is. But it looks like a banner, and I'm kind of looking towards it, and it looks like there's characters going down the banner. I'm looking at it. To me, it kind of looks like maybe Asian writing on a banner. I'm thinking maybe this has something to do with Shang-Chi. I'm not sure. Like they said, they said, look hard, and I can't really see anything. There's this thing right here at the front, this dark thing that kind of goes up to the left, and at the very top corner, looks like it kind of deforms a little bit. We obviously see Joe Russo sitting there dead center in the chair, which we usually see. He's usually the guy in the chair. But not much to see here. But I'm curious what you guys think. They tend to put these little teasers up, and a lot of times they're a little bit of nothing. Over here on the right, there's like a white tarp or something being covered. I'm not sure, that could be something as well. But I want to know your thoughts. What does this mean? Does this mean anything? Is this even worth spending a substantial amount of time discussing? Obviously, if they look at this and look hard, hopefully it means something. And hopefully it's not like a teaser for like a new Secret Wars date. That would be unfortunate. I honestly would be kind of bummed if that was the case. If this was just like a teaser to, announce a date. But I don't know what else. Obviously, there's something by the foot of him too. That could just be like one of those weighted beanbag things that just prevent this big, whatever this is, from sliding down. The light is shining on here. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this, the top right looks like, I think the top right over here looks like this could be like a bridge or like the side of a bridge. If you're looking like not like on top of a bridge, or not if you're on a bridge, but if you're looking at a bridge from like side profile, and the way that the bridge looks like that, this looks like this could be a scene from something like that. So maybe there's light shining on it, which means, it's either in the background or maybe they're just doing that for the shot. But my guess right now is that this is the side of a bridge, in some capacity. I just don't know what, or a ship. Maybe somebody with better knowledge or better eyes can, get that knocked out for me. But my guess of what they want us to look at is going to be this top right section over here, or this bottom center section. Either that's a doorway to somewhere, which I can't pinpoint, or this is a side profile of a bridge. One of those. I have absolutely no idea. But throw it in the comments. What exactly do you think that this is? What are they referring to? What do they want us to look hard at? Hopefully it's not just the fact that Joe Russo is sitting there dead center, and that's where they want us to apparently spend our time looking. So that stands to be seen. That was just released today, actually, and I don't think that there have been necessarily any, big guesses. I've been trying to kind of go through it. Some people are saying the letters hide A, the big. Let me bring this back to full screen too, so we can really kind of discuss. Actually, even better. We'll go right here. Actually, no, that's not better. Someone said where the letters hide. A, the big triangular black flag frame on the side reads as a block A. Okay. V, the two floor tape V's converging toward camera from the shallow V. Okay, so that's a V. Right side scaffolding, one vertical beam with two. Oh, then that's a E. The crisscross braces on the right tower reading in. So someone thinks, now the kicker, the seated figure silhouette against the floor makes a strong D. The lamp against his head is a perfect O. I don't know. Someone thinks that this spells out doomsday. Maybe it does, but if that is the case, oh, this is interesting. This thing in the center going up to the top left, and it has like the this bottom, this left hand shadow, all this black. Someone is saying it's Galactus. Maybe I can share this so that you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. But let's put this right here. Just remove that. Let's share this screen. You guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. But this is what they're saying. They think this is Galactus here. I mean, it is in the shape. I don't know, because his things, I don't know if they're that triangular. But that's what someone seems to think this is. So I don't know. You guys tell me. This is where I'm kind of getting on the rumors. You guys can see right here where they're kind of talking about, if you guys want to go and look over that, what they think that means. But yeah, I'm interested to see. This is the other thing that I was pointing out, the top right thing or top left thing. Maybe that's something. I think that's probably too much, but put in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe it's nothing. I mean, it probably is nothing. But I'm standing by either the bridge could be pretty obvious. Maybe the bridge is just completely obvious. The doorway is what's kind of interesting me as well. As well as this Galactus thing is kind of on my radar too now. So I don't know if that's going to be accurate or not, but it's definitely on my radar. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that's anything? Is that worth talking about? Is that worth teasing? Hopefully it's not a waste of time, but we'll see. The last thing that I wanted to get into, and I definitely think this is worth talking about because we can definitely talk about the state of DCU in this, is James Mangold. He has inked a deal with Paramount. Now, a lot of people will think this is kind of interesting because of the fact that, he has some projects coming up, especially with the DCU. So James Mangold has, and this comes from Deadline. I want to definitely give them that. But James Mangold has inked a deal with Paramount to direct movies and TV, to direct and produce movies for the studio. Now, the thing that might make this a little interesting for everybody is that a lot of people know, obviously this makes it very unclear for how this affects his Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi movie. But how is this going to affect Swamp Thing that he's making over at DC for the DCU for James Gunn? James Gunn has talked a lot about a lot of different projects over the last couple weeks, over the last month and a half, 2 months. He's talked a lot about various different projects. And one thing we haven't gotten too much information about is Swamp Thing. Just the fact that it's being written, that he's working on it, but we don't know much outside of that. But if you look at his IMDb, obviously James Mangold, I mean, he is a treasure. You might have a lot of films and things that you like that he's been a part of. Going down the list of most recent, you've had. I'm not gonna go down everything, but the ones that are worth mentioning. As a director, what did he do? A Complete Unknown, obviously. He did Indiana Jones, Destiny of Dial, for what you might feel about that. But I mean, look at A Complete Unknown, Ford vs. Ferrari, Logan, The Wolverine, which I think is a fun movie. The Wolverine isn't a terrible movie. It's fine. Walk the Line, Identity. I mean, this is a director's Girl Interrupted. This is a director's director. I mean, it goes without saying how fantastic the director is. He's got a couple things coming up, on his slate. He's got, Crenshaw. Obviously, he has Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi. He has the Swamp Thing movie. He has Juliet. So it still stands to be seen how impactful this will be to those projects, those IP projects, your Star Wars and your DC, your Swamp Thing. I mean, Swamp Thing has, the potential of being a pretty big mainstay here within the greater DCU. Especially with like the world building they're doing, the multiverse and traversing, Earth and the universe and all that, that this could be a really invaluable character. So, I hope they don't pump the brakes on James Mangold and this this Swamp Thing project. I would really, really hate for this to just kind of die out. James Gunn has gone on talking about some projects have slowly fizzled away, and they aren't being attacked as much as they were prior, and a lot of people will say that's probably Sergeant Rock is probably the big movie that they're referencing when they talk about that. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's really hard to say how this will impact it. James Mangold, he's a workhorse, and obviously he has a lot of stuff going on. He's got a lot of projects he's producing. He's got a TV series that he produces as well. So let me know what you think. I mean, the cool thing is that Paramount is just growing and it's growing, and it just merged with like Skydance, which is an insane merger. So, they definitely probably want and need some new big creatives. I mean, Mission Impossible has come to an end. We know that, Tom Cruise has a really good working relationship with Paramount, but with that having come to an end, I think Paramount is looking to just continue to not just rely so much on IP, but just continue bringing in substantial filmmakers that will inevitably lead to some pretty solid films. So, like I said, it's hard to say. It's really, really, really hard to say how that will look. But that stands to be seen. Maybe we'll get some information from James Gunn here in the next couple of weeks, especially after this news having had come out. Maybe he'll be a little bit more inclined to kind of share that kind of stuff. But if not, that's okay too, I suppose. It's not ideal, but I think we'll live. So put your thoughts in there. How do you feel about James Mangold moving over to Paramount? How is this going to impact his Star Wars film? How is this going to impact his Swamp Thing film, which will inevitably impact, linearly maybe how the DCU works, but that stands to be seen. So that's that. Put in the comments. We are almost done with the episode. I figure, why don't we spend a little bit of time navigating some Twitter? We'll see what pops up and see if we can maybe come across a little bit of something fresh, something that we are unknowing about. So Mark Ruffalo always talking about Hulk, says he would win in a fight versus Red Hulk and versus Superman. Mark Ruffalo, when asked if he would rather hang out with Chris Hemsworth or Chris Pratt, he said Hemi, which I think comes as no surprise. What could this mean for Swamp Thing? Everybody's thinking it. It's not just me. What else? Channing Tatum on Avengers Doomsday is going to make Marvel fans physically lose their minds. It's gonna make your brain ooze out of your ears, like in the way that I knew when Blade walks on screen in Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like that times 50. That is insane. Also, by the way, welcome to Derry. This I cannot wait for. I love those It movies. Obviously, you love HBO. HBO series just tend to hold up, but Hulu for a while they're putting out those television shows. What was it called? It was the Stephen King series, and the seasons were different stories. And I can't think of the name of it. You're probably wanting to punch me through the screen because you know it, but if you haven't watched it, go to Hulu. It's like, I think there's 2 seasons, and they dabble in a little bit of different, Stephen King stories all kind of coming together, and it's a really great idea. And I'm surprised that they didn't go back to that. So, EA owners, new owners are planning an AI pivot to significantly cut operations, which is really frustrating if you ask me. That is actually really sad. I don't know if you saw, but EA has been purchased or in the process of being purchased from like a Saudi Arabian company and a couple others. So I don't know how that is going to affect that, but that would be really unfortunate. Superman was HBO's biggest movie since Barbie with 13 million views. That is fantastic. Love to see that. If you haven't seen it, a couple of stills from this most recent coming episode of Peacemaker. It looks like this is episode 7. What else? Anything good? James Gunn defends controversial retcon. This is about Superman's parents. What are they? The part 2 of his message. They're benevolent to their son. They are necessarily benevolent in a way that they think about human things. They think of human beings as less than in this version. So that was a thing. That was the twist. I think it works. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the idea of his parents being a little bit more like thinking of humans lesser than, and have go lead them and take as many wives as you want or whatever? I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Mola Young cancels all her upcoming events after collapsing on stage. That's unfortunate. If you guys know of this artist, she's got a song on the radio. I don't know much of her music, but obviously Marvel Zombies feature the return of 3 minor multiverse characters. So that's coming out for October release. Marvel Zombies. Not a lot. Like I'm saying, not a lot in the world of news. Not much worth talking about. You know who I would like to see show up and take out some Nazis in one of these episodes is G.I. Robot. What a gem. What a gem of a character. For him to not come back, that would be unfortunate. But we know that he exists. And we know that he can show up. So why wouldn't we? Chukwudi Iwuji wants to play Brainiac in the DCU. I'd jump on that. I think there's a lot of rumors, especially with the script for Man of Tomorrow being done and the image on it being a big old brain. I think that'd be fantastic. I don't know if anybody here will have the artwork. I'm sorry if there's anything offensive as I go through these comments, but I'm really just looking for the artwork. But the artwork that James Gunn presented, it has like the brain. It says Man of Tomorrow. A lot of people thinking, well, what could this possibly mean? Now, Chukwudi Iwuji comes back. Don't do it. I love him as an actor. I loved him in Guardians. I loved him in season 1 of Peacemaker. And wait, was he? And I think that he is such a fantastic actor, but I don't want to continue to use and reuse and overuse past characters. I think, obviously Michael Rooker was Savant, and obviously he's Red Saint Wild in season 2. And apparently James Gunn told him, this doesn't mean he can't play another character. So we're going to see a lot of these characters continue to show up, for better or for worse. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Palm Clementif and Adam Copeland, aka Edge, join Miramax's The Beekeeper 2, which is interesting. I wonder if it's going to be Is this from Homeboy again? Or join the latest cast of the Jason Statham Beekeeper Government Assassin. Um, okay. I don't know if you guys saw the first one, but they've joined former assassin, grossing 162 million. Jeremy Island. Okay, so they'll also okay, so cool. So the cool thing is characters are reprising these roles. They're not just taking a movie that worked and recasting and hoping for the best. But so written by Kurt Runner, who in the first one, David Ayer, who directed the previous films. Producer. Is David Ayer returning? Is David Ayer returning for this movie? Let's find out. David Ayer. The Beekeeper 2. Did you guys see The Beekeeper, by the way? I can't say it flew under people's radars, but it performed. So, oh, maybe I missed it. Timo Tihanto is directing this one. Who did Nobody 2? Okay, so he's versed in this style. May the Devil Take You. The Night Comes From Us. So he's done some stuff. VHS 94. Okay. I got some faith in him. He doesn't have a picture on IMDb, so I don't know what that'll tell us, but maybe nothing too crazy. But Amy Adams' character in Star Wars Starfighter is reportedly a Jedi. Her son Flynn Gray is Force sensitive. Okay, got BD right here showing up. My final predictions. So this person's predictions for Peacemaker season 2 final appearances. Booster Gold would be insane. Amanda Waller, I could see that. Martian Manhunter. You know, I would love a Martian Manhunter, but I would be just as happy as a Red Tornado if he played some kind of like mentor role to maybe some like younger characters if they show up in some capacity. I would love that. Oliver Queen would be another good one, but who do you guys want to see show up? And maybe if you guys had two guesses, who would you guys want to show up in season 2 of Peacemaker before it ends? So I think that's going to do it for our show. We went 42 minutes. I didn't even want to go over 30 minutes, but here we are. We've talked about a lot of really, really, really great things. Man of Tomorrow and A Quiet Place 3, they are opening on the same day in July. The Russos shared an image from the Avengers set to say, look close. It still stands to be seen what that is. We talked about Alien Earth. If you haven't checked it out, please, please, please go check it out before I call it Alien Rebirth to somebody one more time, because I don't know why I keep doing that. And James Mangold inking his deal with Paramount. That is big. What does that mean for Swamp Thing? What does that mean for a Star Wars movie? Let me know your thoughts. What's your favorite James Mangold movie in general? Throw that in the comments too. I want to hear all about it. That'll do it for today's episode. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. I planned to do one yesterday, and I wanted to do one every day this week, but I'm still going to try to hop on that. Maybe we can continue out the week, but put in the comments if you haven't subscribed. Please, 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 please do so. It helps me out from a visual standpoint. If you could share the video, if you could repost it, share on your X, share on your Facebook, screen record some snaps and put it on TikTok, anything like that. It really, really helps me out. Go follow the TikTok, go follow the social medias. If you're checking us out on social media, all of our social media is at HeadTripHQ. Now, there are a few caveats. I think this is like our YouTube is HeadTrip Show. I think our Twitch is HeadTrip Media for now, which I think I need to go fix that. But everything else, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, it is all HeadTripHQ. I'm Chris Bailey. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a really beautiful day. Go catch up on Peacemaker if you haven't. Get ready for the finale. Go watch Alien Rebirth if you haven't. And go watch Black Rabbit, like I was talking about, on Netflix. Fantastic. I'm also going to start Task on HBO because I've heard that's also an amazing series, so I want to do that too. So love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Take care of each other, and I'll see you guys another time.